YouTube, Jessie here, or Jessieology if you follow me on Twitch or even on this channel or on Instagram. And I'm here with another video of 10 things you might want to know before you start playing Baldur's Gate 3 from a beginner's perspective. I've gotten so much positive response and so much encouragement and more tips and tricks from my Elden Ring video that I thought I would do another video on Baldur's Gate 3 since it's one of my other favorite games to play. It is also very complicated, and I am actually, full disclosure, over 100 hours into this game. That's how complex and beautifully complex this game is, and that there is just so much to know. And I don't want to overwhelm you, so this is such a broad overview, and hopefully the comment section can give you other tips and tricks as well. So the first one is kind of when you start playing, you'll create your character. If you have no experience with D&D, I had no experience with D&D before playing this game. If you do have experience with D&D, then I feel like this video might not apply to you because it's going to be very familiar how Baldur's Gate works if you are a D&D player. That aside, you're going to have to choose your character. There are so many ways you could play the game, but just know that your character can influence the dialogue that you experience, the way that your character interacts with other characters, and essentially different choice options while you go through the game. That being said, there's no wrong choice. You can choose whoever you want to be. If you want to be a half-orc, if you want to be an elf, if you want to do all of these different things, you can do that. So then there's like your class of character. You can be a bard, or you can be a paladin. You can be all of these different things. And so I would urge you to, if that's something that you're into, definitely look into it, and you can see how different characters will get different abilities. But if you don't care and you just want to make someone that looks really cool, like I did, just go for it, and just know that you can always play the game again. This is such double playability, triple playability, quadruple times playthrough, and it will still be different every single time you play. So don't get too caught up on that. Make somebody that you are proud of, make somebody that you don't mind looking at for the rest of the game, and have fun with it. The second tip I have is, once you have your character, you will obviously be put into the game, and you will see your map, which is hotkeyed as M if you're playing on a keyboard. I don't know what it is on controller. You can play on controller. I haven't done that. The way that maps work, like I said, I have 100 hours in, and I still don't know what's going on. But the map, basically, when you press M, you can see it. There's going to be a gray outline of where things are, or where you can walk on certain paths. Originally, though, there will be shadow. It'll be all darkened until you explore that area. So take time to explore, go slow, or be like me, just kind of rush through things. I'm the worst at taking my time because I'm so obsessed with the storyline. I just rather would go from story to story, but you can really, really explore. Just pay attention to that gray line, and your map, I think, automatically like does a compass setting. I set mine to lock because I got kind of confused in the beginning. And that being said, while you're exploring this, my chat always reminds me to do this because I still forget, is Alt. The button Alt will be your best friend. This will show you items that you can pick up that you might not notice. So like if there's a potion on a table or some campfire supplies that you can pick up, you might be able to see it if you press Alt, because the name will pop up. This shows you, they show you this in the tutorial, so this might be redundant, but I just wanted to remind people that Alt will be your best friend, especially if you want to loot. Staying on the topic of items, they are all so cute. The icons are well drawn, so when you press I and you go into your inventory, you can see all the little descriptions. Read the descriptions if you really want to get into the lore. You can see so much about like what an item does, if you can use it for crafting, all of these different things. It will also show you, I don't know if you need to know this or it will tell you this in the beginning tutorial, you will also have different items that are campfire supplies. You'll see like a little campfire item. This is so you can do a long rest. when you go to camp. They do this in the tutorial, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but just so you know, that's a little tip and trick that I forget about, that I need to gather campfire supplies, because sometimes I'm very, very low on campfire supplies and it gets a little scary. But if you press tab, it shows your entire characters. So if you've kind of looked into the game or want to play this game, you should know that you're going to play in a party. You can have different NPC characters join your party and play them. Each individual person has inventory. I press tab, you access all the inventory. If you press I, you only access like your own person's inventory. I had no idea how to like organize my inventory, and I like didn't pay attention because it was just overwhelming. The helpful thing is that if you know healing potion, there is a search bar. I did not notice for the longest time in the top left corner of your screen. So you can type in things. There's that. And then there's also buttons to organize your items. So there's that. Another thing that's cool on the tabs page besides inventory management is you can see the different statistics or the stats page of each of your characters that are in your party. So you just click at the top, there's like different tabs for each person. You can see their approval rating for you and your relationship. Yes, you can romance people. Yes, I'm sure you've seen it on the internet already. You can see their approval rating, their different strengths and weaknesses, but you can also access the spell book there, which gives you the ability to adjust certain abilities that your characters have, like their casting ability. So you can change that there too. Basically, tab is kind of your control panel for your party. And tip number 7 is basically about your party, how it can give you different advantages and disadvantages during battles. Each person in their class can do different moves, so it's always good to have like a mix of people. Sometimes they're good in a fight, sometimes they're good out of a fight. Like everyone, like a big thing that people know like right off the bat, or that's a good tip to know when you have Asterion, he's a rogue, so he's great at unlocking things, disarming things, and also stealing things. So great person to have in your party if you want to go about doing things like that. Not so great on the battlefield, but a great option to have in your party. So like I said, your party gives you disadvantages and advantages. Each party member too, just so you know, can only wear certain types of armor. You'll be able to see this in your tab page, which armor, like you'll see at the bottom, it'll give you like a little caution sign that this type of armor is not compatible, or like this does not function with this, or this weapon does not function with this person. And I did not know that, and I was just like equipping things randomly because I liked it and it looked cool. And then I realized like they were not proficient with that item. So that's something else to keep in mind when you're going through Baldur's Gate, just to make your characters more efficient with their item usage. Now to the fun part. These are turn-based battles, and I know for some people this like turns them off because you do have to wait your turn, but I think once you get used to it, it goes pretty fast. Overall, I think the things to think about is like which spells and casting abilities you can do once or more than once. And you'll see this like on your bottom of your screen where you see all of your abilities. Like there'll be like level 2, level 3 spell slots, and sometimes you could only use them once per long rest, or twice per long rest, or once per short rest. And that's how you will basically refresh yourself and be able to use that. The other thing I didn't know is that there are these like there's also spells that you can cast one time. They're an item. And I didn't know that till this playthrough, that you can actually cast them as any character. And you'll see them, it looks like a little scroll and it has like the ability icon on there. You can always cast that. If it is not on your hotbar at the bottom during a battle, you can press tab and right click on things, and then you can always right click and cast that ability. I know that might not make sense if you haven't played yet, but I promise you when you get into your first battle and you have a scroll, ability scroll or whatever it's called, it'll make sense to you. The other thing too to keep in mind during your battles is the examine thing that I just found out. I had no idea when I play this game. So when you're playing against an enemy, you'll get into battle, you'll see the little red circles around them, whatever. You can right click on an enemy and then there will be options, and one will say examine. You want to click this if you want to figure out what their weaknesses and strengths are, or what their resistances are, because it'll inform you which moves you should use against a player or against an enemy. The other thing too, when you're in battles, and this is kind of in 9, my 9th tip, 10th tip, where you can use this is your arrows, all arrows. You can also search weapons and arrows in the search bar, and you can always shoot special arrows, which also are kind of similar similar to like the ability casts. During battle, if you lose one of your characters to death, there is the scroll of Revivify, which is a little shiny scroll, which you can revive them. I didn't know this, but if you use it, you can cast it, click it, and you can also, like, let's say they're standing on fire. So when you revive someone, they only have 1 health, which means if you revive them on fire, they could just like catch on fire again and lose that 1 health. And then you're in this disgusting cycle of getting them up, them dying, getting them up, and then them dying. So you use the scroll of Revivify, and then you can click where they spawn. Like, so you click them and then click somewhere else, and then they'll spawn up and they won't spawn in the fire. The other thing that you can do is early on in the game, you will find this guy named Withers. This is not really a spoiler because it's just general knowledge, and you can pay for different party members to be revived if you lose them in battle. The other thing, and my final thing, is your merchants and trade. You'll see a little trade icon on there. I just trade for everything. I know you can craft things and do other stuff to upgrade stuff, but if this is your first playthrough, and it depends on how nitty gritty you want to get into this, also sell a ton of your items. You can also pickpocket them. Just know that you really need a strong rogue or somebody who can roll high enough to be able to steal from them. Also, another random thing is my chat told me if you find any gems like amethyst and stuff like that, those are worth nothing besides to sell. So just sell them. There's so many items that are like not really useful, and I probably just carry them around because I don't know. The final tip that I want to give you and leave you with is press F5. That's your quick save button. You want to save as much as possible because nothing hurts more than you accidentally walking into a battle and dying, and then having to go back in hours worth of work in the game just because you forgot to save. So I just like to save as much as I can. You can also save scum. There's no shame in it. Like, if you're just trying to get through something and you're like, I really want to roll this in a good way, I've done it. No shame. Your first playthrough. Absolutely recommend it, especially if they're really high rolls. Anyways, guys, that was my 10 tips and tricks, or basically 10 things that I wish I knew before I started playing this really beautiful, complicated game. You can do so much with it. It is one of the most creative games I've played. It's one of the most exciting games I've played. And while you're not running around like using mechanics like other games to take out bosses and other things, I think there's a lot of strategy behind certain things. There's a lot of fun puzzles. There's a lot of fun connection you can make with the characters. And I'm so excited for you guys to play this game.